Welcome, Husker fans. Thank you for tuning in to Big Red Radio. I am your host, Caleb Jenneret. Next to me is my co-host, Zach Jenneret. Zach, how are you today?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So, getting into this episode, it's going to be kind of a relaxed episode, kind of a just a bye week. We took obviously last week off with the team, as we like to say. We took a bye week as well. Still had some posts out there. Put out the coach power rankings yesterday from when you're seeing this. So, getting a lot of feedback on that as always. So shout out to you guys. Social shout out, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Go follow all of those. Always posting on there. And then before we start, comment down below who you think is going to the NFL draft from Nebraska and how high do you think they get drafted? Because obviously you saw the thumbnail and obviously you saw what we're talking about today. So yeah. Zach, you got anything?
Not before this.
All right. So before we actually get into that, we're going to bring up what we want to call the Mickey meter. So this is the Mickey meter. It's the new meter we're going to break out every single episode. But before we get into it, I think we can both agree in saying this. We want Mickey to do good. We want Mickey to do as good as possible. Obviously, we want him to do good enough to get the job, but we're going to be realistic. And as you can see right now, we don't have very high meter metrics towards Mickey right now. And I just think, well, I guess we'll talk about it a little bit more. Not going to spend too much time on this. Just want to break this out every episode. But as of right now, I have him in the he would be okay because he hasn't really done anything. Like, yes, he's proven that he can be the head coach and he would be okay. He's not in the let him recruit because I think bottom line is he just falls back to being a recruiter for Nebraska. And obviously he's shown that he's great at that. Just got Malachi Coleman last week. So huge get for him. But I think that's the bottom line. And right now, I don't think he's in real consideration. I think to put himself in consideration, I mean, we've talked about this before, but he'd have to, I think making a bowl game is up there. I think winning a few of these key games, maybe winning a ranked game this week is up there. And obviously, as you can see in the bottom right corner, is sign him for 100 years because I think the only way he gets up there is if he wins out, which would include beating Michigan. So I think that would be huge. And then, yeah, I would agree, sign him for 100 years. But yeah, Zach, you got anything on this?
Yeah, I think he's definitely, I mean, as you see in our power rankings, he's not at the bottom of them. But he's never really above like fourth or fifth, right? And I think the reason for that is like he's clearly done good, beat Rutgers and he beat Indiana, and he was right there to beat Purdue. And I saw a lot of people come out and be like, "Is Nebraska just old Nebraska because they had a one score loss?" Like, okay, right? Is Alabama bad because they had a one score loss versus Tennessee?
Right.
Right? So just because we lose a one score game doesn't mean we're back to the old Scott Frost era. Would it be different if we lost by four scores? I don't know. I think what he did versus Purdue was good. I think there's stuff to improve on, but like, I mean, he got thrown to the fire with this team for sure, and I think I definitely wouldn't be mad if he ended up being the head coach, but I don't think he's quite ready. I don't think he's quite experienced yet to be the head coach.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I don't think he's at that mold where we should just give up on finding a more experienced guy just because Mickey's gotten the guys fired up. Like I get it. I know it's exciting to see the Husker players, Nebraska players be excited to play and be excited to win. But also like, is that all we're going for? Is just getting pumped up and getting close in these games? Like there's so much
Yeah,
more that goes into coaching than just getting your guys ready. And obviously, I mean, like as we said, we are not trying to bash Mickey at all. We love Mickey Joseph. We love what he's done. Yeah, as Zach said, he's been thrown into the fire and he's made the most out of it. Um, I just don't think he's ready to be the head coach of a big time Power Five conference for years to come. he could definitely put himself in that conversation, but I don't think he's ready yet. So,
Yeah. Well, I will say, so a lot of people have brought this up, which I think is a really good point. What would we be if Mickey was head coach from day one? If Mickey was head coach from day one of off season on. Personally, I think that we are 7-1, 6-2,
mhm.
uh, going into this week. If you really want to go out there, you could say we're 8-0 with win over Oklahoma. Um, but I don't think we get that. I really don't. I think Oklahoma is a different team than we played now. I think Oklahoma was really, really good back then, and stuff just kind of fell apart when they started losing. But if you look at it, they lost to TCU, K State, and Texas, all of which I think are top 15 teams. I think Texas with Quinn Ewers is a top 15 team. And I think TCU is a great team, and K State maybe they're maybe not top 15, but top 20 for sure. With Martinez and even their backup that played really well last week. But what my ideal thing to happen with Mickey is we do the Urban Meyer Ryan Day treatment where we bring in a good guy. I don't care if that good guy is Lane Kiffin and hops from job to job. I don't care who this good guy is. If I don't care if he hops from job to job or sticks here, because if Mickey can be under him, and I know Mickey's drive to learn is huge, then we will get a great coach out of Mickey that can lead us to, Big Ten championships and maybe even once they get the 12-team playoff, the playoff appearances and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think Mickey needs time to learn. And I mean, the fact of the matter is he's never been a Power Five coach, and I think that Trev Alberts has already came out and said that's what he's looking for is Power Five experience and big time experience like that, and in a winning culture. And I think Mickey is definitely, you can say, building a winning culture, but you can only do so much with experience. When you've only been a wide receivers coach and then an NAIA coach and just not at a high level. So then moving on to the main topic of the episode, what players are going to be gone? Obviously this is a way too early look ahead at who's going to be gone, as we have no clue what could happen the rest of the year. And honestly, there's not a lot of people that I think are going to be gone in the NFL. But we'll start off with the main one that I think a lot of people are talking about right now is Trey Palmer. In my opinion, Trey Palmer's as good as gone. Unless, knock on wood, unless he gets hurt the rest of the year, I think he's gone. He's already been in college for 4 years. Why risk coming back to college again? Right now, I'd say he's a fourth or fifth round draft pick. I think he could blow it up at the combine and maybe get his grade up to like that third round possibly. That's where he's at right now. He could definitely skyrocket even more if he keeps doing what he's been doing. But I just don't see the point in him coming back. Like, what is one more year going to do for you, especially with a new coaching staff who want to get their guys in? I think it's the only way he does come back is if Mickey gets the job. Because obviously Trey and Mickey have a great relationship, father son type relationship. But yeah, I think Trey Palmer is too good, and the situation's just not right for him to want to come back next year.
Personally, I am on the other end of it. I do not think he's good as gone. I think there's a lot for Trey Palmer here. Casey Thompson um, is only a junior, could stay, probably will stay. I think the only reason we lose Case Thompson is transfer. I don't think he's transferring again. Um, Getting a new coach, uh, when obviously with all the time we've had to look for a coach, talk to coaches, build Nebraska up. Now with Mickey Joseph here, why wouldn't you want to coach with that guy, right? And obviously Trey and Mickey have, like you said, that father-son relationship. And I think there is a lot next year that he could build up, right? So if you bring in a top level guy, top level coach, with these top level players, they literally put out a ranking just based on skill for the entire Big Ten. Nebraska is third, just based on skill, behind Ohio State and Michigan, just straight skill. So if you give a successful, winning Power Five coach all that skill, why wouldn't he be successful? Trey Palmer is going to be even more successful. And I don't think he's been in college for 4 years because he's only a junior.
Yeah, but he also had the COVID year. He's only technically a junior, but he had the COVID year. He's already been in
Oh, okay,
his
okay.
fourth year in college.
Okay, yes. But I think he could, and money wise, the difference between first round pick and second round pick, even 30, number 32 and number 33 is millions of dollars. Like quite literally millions and millions of dollars just because you're a first round pick. And so I think there is a big reason for Trey to stay. And I feel like Trey anywhere else, Trey at Ohio State leaves because I feel like Trey Palmer at Ohio State is a top level draft pick. I feel like Trey Palmer at freaking Purdue is a top level draft pick. A lot of other places, I feel like Trey Palmer is a top level draft pick. So why not prove to the NFL teams that that's who you are with this new winning coach? If the new coach is someone terrible, God forbid, then yeah, I think he's good as gone. But I think he wants to be able, and I think, I mean, if Mickey's great at recruiting, why can't he be great at talking players into staying?
Sure, sure. No, that's definitely a good
So
point. I just, I don't know. I don't know. I think
if
he's,
Mickey's good enough to get Trey Palmer up here to Nebraska, why can't Mickey be good enough to get Trey Palmer to stay at Nebraska for one more year?
yeah, but I've also heard of coaches like I don't know how Mickey. I don't know if Mickey wants him to stay. If he's telling him go get your bag, dude, like go pro. You've earned it. Um, just because they have that close relationship, and he's going to be honest with him. I think Mickey's one of the most honest coaches I've seen. So if he's as honest as he is with the press as he is with his players, then he might just be telling Trey to just, I mean, just go get your
Yeah, but
bag.
I think if he's honest with Trey, I think he says, Trey, you're a top level draft pick. You're a first round draft pick talent. When we bring in this new guy, you will be able to show that to everyone. And if you stay, then you know, I think you and what's the hurt if he stays? Right?
He could
What's
get
the hurt,
hurt.
honestly?
Hurt. He could get hurt.
Sure, sure, but he could get hurt the rest of this year. You just gonna sit out the rest of the year?
No, obviously, it's this is more of a conversation. I think at the end of the year. I think this is obviously a way too early. Like as we said, anything can happen. But if Trey Palmer keeps on the trajectory he's going, he's going to lead the nation in receiving yards. And once you lead the nation in receiving yards, you're going to get more eyes on you. And once he does get more eyes on him, I think his draft stock is going to go way up. Um, so I don't know if I think if he starts cracking those conversations of top 3 rounds, I think he goes for sure. As of right now, he's probably fourth, fifth, sixth. So yeah, I think it's more of a conversation right now, but first three, I don't know. If I were him, I would. But moving on to another receiver, Marcus Washington. This is a different one. I think Marcus Washington's easily coming back. I think he's a guy that could, I think, has talent enough to get drafted. Just hasn't shown it this year. It's been kind of a mess for him. He's shown flashes, but you know, with the offensive line issues and Casey not being able to get the ball out, sometimes Marcus Washington looks like right up there in talent with Trey Palmer. But sometimes he just disappears as well because Trey Palmer's the only guy that can get open fast enough. And Marcus Washington needs more time to develop, and our offensive line doesn't allow that much time. So I think easily, unless we see some sort of second half explosion from Marcus Washington, I think he's back.
Yeah, I think Marcus Washington is back for sure. He is a senior. Um,
I think he has one more year though.
yeah, he does have one more year, but whether guys, I think it's more of a question of does he want to play college football for another year? right? Because it is hard on your body. I think he does, but I feel like it's more of a question of does he want to play college football for another year more than does he want to go to the draft? Because right now, I mean, I don't even know if he crack a 53 man.
Yeah, no, he's not a draftable prospect for sure right now. I think he has talent too. I think he has enough talent to be a top, not a top draft pick, but scratching that sixth, seventh, maybe even fifth round, depending on what he does next year. Um, but yeah, no, right now he's not a draftable player to me. Travis Vokolek, I think, is gone no matter what at the end of the year.
He is.
I don't think he has any
He's
more
a he's a
time.
red shirt. He's a red shirt senior.
Yeah, so Travis Vokolek's gone. Um, I don't think he's a draftable prospect. He doesn't have the freaky speed or the freaky size. Like even Austin Allen. Austin Allen was a better prospect than Vokolek, and Austin Allen obviously didn't get drafted. So Casey Thompson, I think he's staying another year. I think he has a lot to prove. I think he can crack the end of the draft. He doesn't have the prototypical size or the prototypical arm, but he's one of those guys that would just make a good backup in the NFL. Not going to make a lot of mistakes, mobile enough to do what you want him to do. So I like Casey Thompson to stay. Defense, this is where it gets really interesting. Garrett Nelson, he's only a junior, um, but I could definitely see him going. He was a preseason All Big Ten guy. Um, he's already on people's draft boards. He's athletic enough. He's making plays recently to get him into that discussion, I think. So if I were a betting man, I would say Garrett Nelson's gone at the end of the year just because I don't know how much better you can get than this year.
Yeah, hang on. Did you already say Anthony Grant?
No, I must have went right past him. But I think Anthony
Yeah.
Grant's back as well.
No, I think Anthony Grant is back. The only reason I think he is back is because our line is so bad, honestly. I think that's the only reason he's back. Because again, another guy just like Trey Palmer, if you put Anthony Grant on Iowa, I think he's gone in the draft because they have a good line, right? Anthony Grant is an incredible running back. If you put that guy on Illinois, my God. I
Illinois has
mean,
already got
he's
an NFL level back.
yeah, and I think Anthony Grant's better than
It's a bold
I
take.
do.
That's a bold
I
take.
I really do. I really do think Anthony Grant is better than him because I don't know. He's when he has those flashes, you know, when the line actually blocks, he's gone. He's out.
Right.
He's gone. But he gets hit 2 yards behind the line and still somehow turns into a 3 yard gain
Yeah,
every time. And so,
it's hard.
yeah, it's hard for him. But no, I think he is coming back for sure. But I think he has the skill level and the potential to be an NFL back
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, he doesn't have the prototypical size, I guess, is one thing you can knock on him. He's a little small for an NFL level back, but yeah, no, he's definitely playable. I mean, if Deuce Vaughn can get drafted this year, then I think Anthony Grant can definitely make an NFL roster. So, not
for
saying
sure.
talent wise, I think talent wise, Deuce Vaughn is a better back, but Deuce Vaughn is what, like 5'7", 5'6", maybe, and just
Yeah.
he's a beast. I mean, Darren Sproles was a beast, and I think Deuce Vaughn is a good comparison to Darren Sproles. But getting a little off topic there. But yeah, Garrett Nelson. What do you think about Garrett Nelson?
Honestly, here's my thing, right? Every year we've got guys that like Jurgens, right? Jurgens left as a senior, correct?
No, he could have stayed.
He could have stayed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but was that a COVID year or a senior? Was he a junior or a senior when he left?
He could have. I think this would have been his last year if he would have stayed, no matter what.
As a COVID year, he would have taken his COVID
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So it would have been his fifth year. Okay, here's my thing. Is this Garrett Nelson's fourth year already or third?
I want to say it's his fourth. I want to say so because it says
Okay.
he's a true junior eligibility wise, but I think it's his
Okay.
fourth
Yeah.
year.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I really wish he wasn't because I just feel like a lot of Nebraska guys stay at Nebraska until they can't anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like a lot of Nebraska guys, no matter how good they are, like Rex Burkhead. stayed till he couldn't anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, Amir Abdullah, I'm pretty sure he might not.
I think he stayed. I think he stayed
Yeah,
as long as he could.
yeah. Like these guys, Amir Abdullah could have left and could have cracked an NFL roster. Rex Burkhead could have left and cracked an NFL roster. And Ndamukong Suh, god dang, could have left and cracked an NFL roster, but he didn't. Why? Because there's something there. There's something there that makes it so you don't want to leave. There's something at
I mean,
Nebraska
yeah, but those are all
that
you're
is so
thinking of
special.
a different time of Nebraska too.
That is true, but I feel like the environment is still maybe not the same, but it's still there, right?
Hmm.
I don't know how many NFL games you're going to go play in. Eh, And now with NIL deals, money isn't nearly as much. That's why I feel like Trey Palmer, yeah, go chase your bag. Maybe I'll just give you one here instead, right?
Yeah, it's
Garrett Nelson, go go chase your bag in the fifth round, or I'll just give you one here.
sure. No, I think as of right
So
now, I think Garrett Nelson's 50-50. But on the trajectory he's going, he's played so good in these last 3 games.
yeah,
Um,
he has,
I think
he
it goes
has,
up.
and
I think
he's
it could be
he's a
another
great
more.
leader.
Sure.
I mean, that guy will pass any interview with an NFL team. I mean, he will pass all the interviews. He will pass all the physical, things. Just when you go look at the stat line, he's not going to compare to, other pass rushers.
Yeah. No, athletically, he's not going to compare to those top end guys, but
Yeah.
he's a lot like he's like an upgraded version of like Ben Stilley from last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Stilley is, I think, no, he got cut. I think he got cut. I don't think he made the final roster, but he was close. He was close. He made some
Mm-hmm.
plays in preseason. But yeah, the next guy is another guy that I think is actually more likely gone than Garrett Nelson. Is Ochon Mathis. Ochon
Mm-hmm.
Mathis is that prototypical NFL pass rusher. And I think he hasn't seen as much success at Nebraska. And I think another year of him, I don't want to say disappointing because he has been really good for us, but he's just not putting up those big time stats that he was at TCU. And I think another year of that would only negate his draft stock. Um, so I think he's a little better of a shot to leave. I think it's probably 60-40 right now. I would guess he would leave because he is on boards. He is on boards. He was the top end. He was a top rated edge rusher in the transfer portal for a reason. People know him. Um, but I think maybe he sticks around wanting a better shot at maybe getting those stats and getting those big time numbers, or maybe he sees it as like, I can't afford to have another year like this. So I think Ochon Mathis is 60% gone, 40% stays, but depending on how the rest of the year goes, if he does bad, like if he doesn't put up another sack the rest of the year, I think he's staying 99%, but I expect him to have a better second half for sure.
Yeah, no, I would probably agree. I think he's very similar to the situation that Anthony Grant is in. So, like, can he be an NFL level pass rusher? Absolutely. But because we struggle so much on the defensive end of the ball, and I don't want to say we still struggle with defensive coordination because I feel like Bill Bush has done a great job, but I feel like, because of the situation he's thrown in, he hasn't, done what I think he can. And so I think that's maybe a reason for him to stay. But like you said, maybe it's a reason for him to leave because he doesn't want to do it again. Uh, I don't know. I like to say he's about the same as Garrett Nelson right now, kind of a 50-50, whether he stays or goes. But like I said in the beginning of the video, if all these guys are 50-50, if Mickey can recruit, why can't he convince them?
Sure. No, I agree with that.
And
I
and
agree with
I
that.
think I think it's a lot harder back in the day to convince guys to stay, but now with NIL, like if there's a guy at Ohio State that they really need, obviously like Smith and Jigba's gone, right? He's gone. CJ Stroud, when it comes to his time, is gone. He's not going to stay. Guys like that. But now with NIL deals, it's like if you're like a fifth round draft pick and you're like, I kind of want to leave to go make some money. Why don't I just give you that money, find a way to get you that money, and then you stay, right? So, and Nebraska is one of the best places to go to get NIL deals because the regulations are so much lower than everywhere else.
Yeah, no, 100%. Next guy I think is probably like a 30-70 split on if he leaves, depending on what he does the rest of the year. But someone who's been really good for us, Luke Reimer. He's a junior as of right now. He might be another guy that's been here 4 years though. But I think if he doesn't leave, I don't think he stops playing. I don't think he's done playing college football. But I think Luke Reimer is a guy that has a lot to prove, and he's got a lot of talent. And if you get the right D coordinator and to pull it out of him, I think he can be a maybe third. I think his ceiling's probably a third round draft pick, which I don't even think he gets drafted if he enters the draft right now. So obviously, depending on what he does the rest of the year. But I think Luke Reimer is pretty safe to say that he's going to stick around.
Yeah, I think Luke Reimer likes where he's at, but I don't think he's putting up the numbers, and I don't think he's good enough yet um, to crack a 53 or even really get drafted. I don't think he's going to get drafted if he declares. Um, yeah, I think I'd agree with you there. That whole 30-70, maybe even lower, like 25-75, 20-80. I just don't see him leaving at all.
Yeah, the only chance I could see is if he absolutely explodes and starts making like crazy plays and just like putting up 20 tackles a game, just absolutely goes
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, another guy, Quentin Newsom. He's interesting. He's an interesting one. I think he stays, but he's definitely our most talented. I want to say defensive back, because it was him. It was him and Cam Taylor Britt last year, and that was big time. Man, they were good. Miss those days. But Quentin Newsom is really talented, and I think if he leaves, maybe he sneaks into the seventh round just because he's so athletic. Um, but I think he has a lot to prove still, just like a lot of these guys that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I don't think he leaves either. Honestly, the only if anyone leaves, I think the only guy that really leaves is Trey. If anyone does, and I don't even know that he will. Uh, as far as draft, I think it's inevitable we're going to lose some guys to the transfer portal. Um, Running back room to
Yeah.
say one of them, Yant's gone, Ramir Johnson's gone. For sure, I wouldn't be surprised if Gabe Irvin's gone. I think probably the only two we keep. We're either keeping Gabe Irvin or AJ Allen,
I think
and
Anton's staying as long as
Mickey's here.
he's here, running backs coach stays, which I think they've been fine all year, so I think they're going to be all right. But yeah, I think a lot. That's what happens when you get a new staff in, is people are going to transfer. Like, yes,
Another quarterback room's another one. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, definitely. I just think Mickey can say all he wants that you commit to a school, not a coaching staff. But in today's day and age, I mean, Caleb Williams committed to Lincoln Riley, and you see
mhm.
what happened. He went from Lincoln Riley left, so did Caleb Williams. I could definitely see a situation where, um, I mean, I don't know. There's a situation I was watching Corn Crazed this weekend, and a situation was brought up where Scott Frost somehow gets the head coaching job at Arizona State. Arizona State or Arizona is Chuba Purdy's home state. So maybe there's a storyline there, but I think Chuba Purdy's staying. Um, but yeah, I think between Smothers, Purdy, and Thompson, one of them's got to be gone. And I think most likely it's looking like it's going to be Smothers right now, just because Chuba Purdy's been that solidified backup as he's came in when Casey's gotten hurt, when Casey's gotten pulled, it's always been Chuba to come in first. So yeah, I definitely think that he's here to stay. But that could be a whole nother video, and that's a video for the off season is what to expect from this transfer portal. So yeah, I think that's all I got.
I mean,
but
yeah, like we are saying, draft wise, I think Trey Palmer is the only. I don't think Trey Palmer is the only one that has the ability to play on an NFL team or even get drafted. There's a lot of guys on this team that I feel like raw talent have the ability to get drafted. I think Trey Palmer does. I think Casey Thompson does. Anthony Grant does. Garrett Nelson does. Otron Mathis. You could even make a case for Ty Robinson next year to have that talent. Luke Reimer has that talent. Caleb Tanner maybe has talent for an undrafted free agent. Quentin Newsom has that talent. I feel like there's a lot of guys on the team that have that talent. We're just at the point where we're not seeing the results that a lot of NFL teams want. Like an NFL team's not going to come out and draft Anthony Grant where he has the talent to be drafted because he hasn't proved anything.
mhm.
So
And he's not like a freak. Like you see all the time that these people or these athletes don't really do anything in college, like don't do much, but they're absolute freaks of nature. And they get drafted high just because someone wants to take a shot on them. Like a good one this year is like Anthony Richardson. I think in the first 3 games didn't even throw a touchdown pass or something like that. But he's going to be a top 2 round draft pick just because he's got all the raw talent in the world. So yeah, I think you see that there's definitely a balance between raw talent and execution. And yeah, I just agree. I don't think enough people on this team are showing enough execution to be drafted, and a lot of them don't have that super raw talent. So
which is why I think they're all going to stay.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't expect Trey Palmer to stay. I mean, I'm kind of projecting if he completely falls off a cliff and doesn't do a lot, then yeah, I do expect him to stay. But I also don't think that's realistic at all. I think he's going to keep on the trajectory he's going. I think he's going to end the year top 10 at least in receiving yards in the nation, just because he's.
I could see him in like top 5.
Well, no, no, I'm saying top 10 at least.
Yeah, I mean he's number 1 right now. So
well, he's not number 1 anymore because Nebraska had a bye week, but
well, yes, but
he was number 1 last week. And I
per
think
game, I think
he's still
per
top.
game, I think he's 1. Per game, I think he's number 1.
Maybe he might be now, but yeah. No, but that's yeah. Unless Zach, you got anything else? I think that's all I got for this week.
Nope.
All right, so that's all I got for this week. That's all we got for this week. Comment down below who you think could get drafted. Anyone we didn't mention you think might be able to get drafted, and where they get drafted at, and who you think has the best chance to get drafted. I think we mentioned it. I think we think it's Trey Palmer, but let us know what you think. If it's Ochon Mathis, Garrett Nelson, even somebody else. So yeah, keep an eye out for this week's other episode. We'll have a preview out for the Illinois game on Friday. Hopefully, no promises, but hopefully Friday. And then follow all the socials that are up on your screen now. But without further ado, go Big Red.